Welcome back, everyone. We've got quite the deep dive lined up today.
hmm
We're going to tackle the question of why women are so fascinated with tall men.
Oh, yeah. It's a classic, isn't it?
It really is. And
Yeah.
we've got a really interesting mix of sources this time around. Articles, forum discussions, even some psychological analysis to dig into,
Sounds like it'll be a lively one.
for sure. So one of the first things that struck me was just how much this topic is rooted in our past.
Hmm.
Societal norms, evolutionary ideas. Like we've got this article from The Guardian. It's an advice column from 2022.
Oh, interesting.
And the reader is basically wrestling with this attraction to tall, well-built men, especially after going through a heartbreak.
That's interesting. Makes you wonder if it's a way of seeking security after a difficult experience, right?
Right, like subconsciously trying to find someone who can protect them.
And it seems like that feeling resonates with a lot of women. We saw it pop up in several of the forum discussions, too.
Like that Reddit thread you sent?
Yes. Lots of women talking about liking that feeling of being small and cute next to a taller partner. And of course, some even brought up the practical side of things, like reaching those high shelves.
That's a classic. Practicality and cuteness all in one package.
Exactly. But it goes deeper than just personal preferences, I think. The media plays a huge role too, right? We're bombarded with images of that tall, dark, and handsome archetype.
Totally. Movies, TV shows, advertisements. It's everywhere.
And those images definitely shape our perceptions. And speaking of perceptions, one of the articles, this one from Carpe Diem, suggests that this whole fascination with height boils down to a sense of security. Back in the day, a taller man might have been better equipped to protect his family.
Makes sense in a historical context,
Yeah.
right? Like those primal instincts still lingering.
Exactly. But the article also brings up a really interesting point. The kind of protection we need today might be different. Emotional security, psychological safety. Those feel just as crucial, if not more so, in the world we live in now.
Absolutely. I mean, physical strength is important, but it's not the only kind of strength that matters.
Right. The definition of strength is evolving. Being able to provide emotional support, stability, being a reliable partner. Those are qualities that aren't necessarily tied to height at all.
Yeah, and that's where some of the sources get really interesting. There are quite a few comments from people, even a self-proclaimed short king, who argue that shorter men might actually excel at providing that emotional security.
It's an interesting perspective, right? The idea is that maybe they've had to navigate more societal expectations, maybe even overcome biases, and that's helped them develop resilience, empathy, emotional intelligence, all those qualities that make for a great partner.
It really makes you think, is height just a shortcut for judging other qualities? Because confidence is often linked to height, too.
Yeah.
So are we attracted to the confidence itself rather than the height?
That's a brilliant question. It's easy to conflate those things. One commenter even mentioned that tall guys often have to carry themselves well because of their height. So it creates this aura of confidence, even if it's not genuine.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
Exactly. Which brings us to a fascinating concept. You actually sent an article from Psychology Today about it, tall man syndrome.
Oh, yeah. This one was intriguing. So the author's a clinical psychologist, and she argues that anyone exceptional in any way, height, wealth, fame, intelligence, can be more prone to developing, well, some narcissistic tendencies.
It's not saying every tall person is a narcissist, of course. The idea is that constantly being treated as special can lead to a sense of entitlement and a lack of consideration for others. It can amplify those tendencies if they're already there.
It's like that special treatment becomes a double-edged sword in a way.
Precisely. But, it's important to hear from the men's side of things, too. You included some comments from a BBC forum called Tall Men, Does Size Matter?
Yes. I thought it was important to get their perspective. And it turns out height alone doesn't guarantee romantic success for them. One guy who's 6'5" even joked that his height never seems to do him much good.
That's funny. So even with the supposed advantage of height, it's not a magic solution in the dating world.
Right. And another guy even confessed that he'd been told he's too nice safe to be interesting, which kind of suggests some women might be looking for a certain edge.
Like maybe a bit of bad boy energy goes against the stereotype, right?
It really does. But one commenter had a great point. They said, all you tall guys don't think you have it made because a shorter, decent, honest guy will win every time when it comes to a long-term relationship.
It speaks to a growing awareness that height might catch someone's eye initially, but it's definitely not the defining factor when it comes to building a lasting connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, attraction is a two-way street.
Absolutely. Women have their preferences, but men have theirs too. One article even drew a parallel with men's attraction to certain female physical attributes.
Like, just because we find certain features attractive doesn't mean that's all we care about, right?
Right. There's so much more to a person than just their appearance. One source, The Modern Man, they emphasize the importance of confidence, charm, charisma.
Those are definitely attractive
Mm.
qualities.
Exactly, and they argue that those things can be far more powerful than just physical attributes alone. They even say most women have an open type, meaning they're open to different types of men as long as there's a spark.
So it's about going beyond those initial superficial judgments and really connecting with someone on a deeper level.
Exactly. And
Right.
that's what makes this whole topic so fascinating. It's not just about height. It's about understanding the complex interplay of biology, society, and personal experiences that shape our perceptions of attractiveness.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a reminder that we're all influenced by so many different factors when it comes to choosing a partner. And sometimes we might not even be aware of those influences.
It's like those unconscious biases we talked about.
Exactly. And if we're not mindful of those biases, we might miss out on connecting with someone truly special just because they don't fit some preconceived mold.
And those molds can be so limiting. Like one person in the Reddit discussion pointed out that focusing too much on height can even lead to height supremacy, where anyone shorter is automatically seen as less desirable.
It's like any other form of discrimination, reducing someone to just one physical attribute.
Absolutely. And as one person put it, being tall doesn't necessarily make you the best partner in life. There are countless stories of shorter partners who are incredibly loving, supportive, and secure.
And that brings up a really important point. Security comes in many forms. It's not just about physical protection. It's about feeling emotionally safe, respected, and valued in a relationship.
You're so right. And one woman shared that her shorter partner is amazing at providing that kind of security because he's had to develop other strengths to overcome societal expectations. It's like those challenges have actually helped him become more empathetic and understanding.
It's a reminder that sometimes adversity can forge the most beautiful traits. And it challenges us to really think about what we value in a partner. Are we looking for superficial markers of success, or are we looking for someone who will stand by us through thick and thin?
That's such a powerful question to ask ourselves. And, even though we've been talking about the serious side of things, we can't forget about the practical side. One commenter hilariously pointed out the neck strain involved in kissing a very tall partner. Haha.
Oh, I remember that one. And another joked about the difficulties of finding clothes that fit a particularly lanky boyfriend.
It's a lighthearted reminder that while height might seem like a big deal in theory, in reality, it also comes with everyday situations that can impact a relationship both positively and negatively.
Absolutely. And one tall woman even shared that she loves dating shorter guys because she can finally wear heels without towering over them.
I love that. It's like challenging those societal norms can lead to personal liberation and empowerment.
Exactly. It really highlights how attraction is so individual. What one person finds appealing, another might not. And that's okay.
It's the beauty of human connection. We're all drawn to different qualities, and those qualities often reflect our own unique needs, experiences, and desires.
You're so right. And speaking of unique qualities, the Modern Man article argues that even men who might not be traditionally considered, tall, dark, and handsome can still be incredibly attractive if they cultivate other qualities that women find appealing.
Like confidence, charisma, a sense of humor, those things can be incredibly magnetic.
Totally. And it's not about trying to fit into some mold. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves and letting our authentic selves shine through.
Exactly. Because that authenticity is often what truly captivates others. When we're confident in who we are, our unique personality shines through, and that's what creates a genuine connection.
That's such a great point. So maybe the real question isn't why are women fascinated with tall men, but rather what qualities do we find genuinely attractive in a partner, and how can we cultivate those qualities in ourselves?
I love that reframing. It's about moving beyond those superficial judgments and recognizing that true attraction is about so much more than just physical appearance. It's about finding someone who sees us, understands us, and appreciates us for who we truly are.
And speaking of appreciation, I want to thank you for bringing such a diverse range of sources to this deep dive. We've heard from women who love tall men, women who prefer shorter partners, men who feel empowered by their height, and men who find it to be a burden.
It's been a fascinating journey exploring how evolutionary biology, societal conditioning, and personal experiences all influence how we perceive attractiveness.
And it's definitely challenged us to think critically about the role height plays in our own lives and relationships. But before we wrap up, there's one more fascinating thread I want to untangle. It's about the potential downside of this tall man syndrome and how unchecked narcissism can really damage relationships.
It's a sensitive topic, but important to address, especially since we've been talking so much about the potential pitfalls of those societal reinforcements.
Exactly. So stick with us as we delve into the complexities of tall man syndrome and how to navigate those challenges in love and life.
Because understanding those dynamics is crucial for building healthy, fulfilling relationships.
And for recognizing that true strength lies in those deeper qualities, the ones that connect us on a human level.
Absolutely. So let's dive in. All right, so let's dive deeper into this whole tall man syndrome thing and how it ties into narcissism. We were talking about Dr. Heitler, the psychologist who coined this term, and how she observed that individuals with exceptional qualities, whether it's height or wealth or even intelligence, they can be more susceptible to developing these narcissistic traits.
And it's not to say every tall person is a narcissist, right? It's more about how certain personality types might be amplified by those societal expectations.
Precisely. Imagine a kid who's constantly praised for being tall or athletic. They might internalize that message that they're somehow better or more deserving than others. And over time, that can lead to entitlement and a lack of empathy.
Right, it's like they develop this inflated sense of self.
Exactly. And that can be really detrimental in relationships because it creates this imbalance where one person's needs are constantly overshadowing the others.
And Dr. Hackler actually points out that this tall man syndrome, it's not just limited to men.
That's right. Women can absolutely exhibit these tendencies too, especially if they've achieved a lot of success or have always been treated as special.
So it's not about gender, it's about those power dynamics.
Exactly. It's about anything that creates this sense of being above others. And that can manifest in all sorts of ways. A wealthy person feeling entitled to special treatment, a super intelligent person dismissing everyone else's opinions, or someone really attractive using their looks to manipulate others.
It's like the common denominator is a lack of consideration for other people.
Exactly, that me first mentality. And that can be really toxic in relationships because it erodes trust and intimacy.
So how do you even recognize those signs early on? Because Dr. Heitler mentions that narcissists can be super charming and charismatic, especially at first.
Right. It's like they're masters of illusion.
They might shower you with attention, and compliments make you feel like you're the only person in the world.
And it feels amazing at first. But as time goes on, that mask starts to slip. You start to see their true nature.
And one of the sources that Why Do Women Like Tall Men article, they actually warn against falling for that initial charm. They even ask, is he meeting my physical needs but neglecting my emotional and mental well-being?
It's such a crucial question to ask. Because someone might be attractive or successful, but that doesn't make them a good partner.
It's about looking beyond the surface level stuff.
Exactly. And one of the trickiest things about narcissism is that it can be really hard to spot at first. The narcissist might be so persuasive, so good at twisting things around that you start doubting your own feelings.
It's like they gaslight you into thinking everything's your fault.
It can definitely feel that way. So it's important to pay attention to those red flags, like how they react to criticism.
Yeah, a narcissist is not going to handle that well.
Not at all. They'll get defensive or even aggressive, or they'll just blame someone else. Anything to avoid taking responsibility.
It's like they have this fragile ego that can't handle being anything less than perfect.
And that constant need for validation, it can be so draining for the other person. It creates this dynamic where one person is constantly giving and the other is always taking.
And that makes me think about something one of the commenters said. She was talking about dating a tall guy, and she said, he used his height as a character trait, like it excused all his bad behavior.
It's like any exceptional quality can be used as a shield to avoid accountability.
So recognizing those patterns is key. Don't make excuses for bad behavior just because someone's charming or attractive.
Absolutely. Trust your instincts. And sometimes the hardest but most important thing you can do is walk away, even if it hurts.
Because staying in a toxic relationship can be so damaging.
Exactly. You deserve to be with someone who respects you and values you, not someone who constantly puts their own needs first.
But you know what's interesting is that Dr. Heitler has seen narcissists change and grow in therapy.
It's true. It often takes a major life event, like a divorce or a career setback, to really shake them out of that self-centered bubble.
It's like they finally start to see the impact of their actions.
Exactly, and that's where self-awareness is so crucial. Once a narcissist recognizes their patterns and how those patterns affect others, they can start to develop healthier ways of relating.
It's not easy, but it's possible.
It is. And imagine the transformation. A narcissist learning to really listen to their partner, to empathize with their feelings, to prioritize their partner's needs. It's amazing to think about.
And that shift in perspective, it can ripple outwards too, creating positive change, not just in their romantic relationships, but in every area of their lives.
It's a beautiful thing. And it brings us back to the heart of this whole conversation. It's not just about height, it's about the qualities that make us truly attractive as human beings. Kindness, empathy, integrity, the ability to connect with others on a deep level.
It's about recognizing that true strength doesn't come from dominance or power, but from our capacity to love and support other people.
You're so right. And that's something we can all cultivate no matter who we are or what we look like. It's about embracing our shared humanity and choosing to build a world where everyone feels seen, valued, and loved.
It's a beautiful vision,
Mhm.
and one that we can all contribute to. So as you go about your day, remember to look beyond the superficial and seek out those qualities that truly matter.
Kindness, compassion, genuine connection. Those are the things that make life worth living.
I couldn't agree more. So let's keep exploring those ideas and keep challenging ourselves to grow and evolve. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll be diving into the final part of this deep dive, where we'll explore some practical tips for navigating the complexities of attraction and building healthy relationships.
So, we were talking about those red flags to watch out for when dating someone who might have narcissistic tendencies. One of the biggest ones is that love bombing early on.
Oh, yeah, like
Yeah.
showering you with attention and gifts and compliments. It's almost like a fairy tale romance, too good to be true.
Exactly. And often it is, because once that honeymoon phase is over, that's when you start to see the cracks. The narcissist might become possessive, controlling, easily angered if they don't get the constant admiration they crave.
Like that "Why Do Women Like Tall Men" article. They specifically warned against that. They said something like, "Is he meeting my physical needs but neglecting my emotional and mental well-being?"
It's so important to ask ourselves those questions because someone can be attractive or successful, but that doesn't automatically make them a good partner.
Looks can be deceiving, for sure.
And one of the trickiest things about narcissism is that it can be hard to spot at first. The narcissist might be so charming and persuasive that you start to doubt your own feelings.
Like they twist things around to make you think you're the problem.
It can definitely feel that way. So it's crucial to pay attention to those red flags early on, like how they react to criticism.
Yeah. A narcissist won't take that well.
Not at all. They'll get defensive, blame someone else, anything to avoid taking responsibility for their actions.
Like they have this fragile ego that needs constant protection.
Exactly. And that constant need for validation can be incredibly draining for the other person.
Makes me think of one commenter who said her ex used his height as a character trait, like it excused all his bad behavior.
That's such a perfect example. Any exceptional quality, whether it's height or wealth or intelligence, can be used as a way to avoid accountability.
It's all about recognizing those patterns and not making excuses for bad behavior.
Absolutely. Trust your gut. And sometimes the hardest but most important thing you can do is to walk away from a relationship that's not serving you.
Easier said than done sometimes, but so crucial for our well-being.
You're right. It takes strength to walk away. But remember, you deserve to be with someone who treats you with respect and kindness. Someone who values you for who you are.
It's about knowing your worth and refusing to settle for less.
Exactly. And it's not all doom and gloom. Dr. Heitler actually talks about how narcissists can change and grow with therapy.
There's hope then.
There is. It often takes a major life event like a divorce or job loss to really shake them out of that self-centered mindset.
Like a wake-up call almost.
Exactly. And that's where self-awareness comes in. Once they recognize their patterns and how those patterns are affecting others, they can start to change.
That's encouraging. It means that even if someone exhibits narcissistic traits, it doesn't mean they're destined to stay that way.
And imagine the transformation. A narcissist learning to genuinely listen to their partner, empathize with their feelings, prioritize their needs. It's powerful to think about.
It really is. And that kind of change, it can have a ripple effect, positively impacting not just their romantic relationships, but all their relationships.
You're right. So it's not about giving up on people. It's about recognizing that everyone has the potential for growth. And for those who are in relationships with narcissists, it's important to remember that you're not alone. There's support out there to help you navigate those challenges.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that we all have a role to play in creating healthy relationships, both with ourselves and with others.
We can choose to set boundaries, communicate our needs, and walk away from toxic dynamics.
It's about taking care of ourselves and each other.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the biggest takeaway is that true strength lies not in dominance or control, but in our capacity for love, compassion, and empathy.
It's about recognizing our shared humanity and treating each other with kindness and respect.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for bringing such a thoughtful and diverse collection of sources to the table today. It's been a fascinating conversation, and it's given us so much to think about.
I agree. And thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this journey. I hope this deep dive has challenged you to look beyond the superficial and to seek out those qualities that truly matter in life and in love.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
And remember, you are worthy of love and belonging just as you are. See you next time.